Okay, I am back again in a different parking lot. I don't know what it is about parking lots. If you've watched my videos for some time, I just supremely enjoy spending time in parking lots. I think it's because if you stay home, it's super static. Like say like you're at home and your space, and you don't really like there isn't much movement going on from you, which I tend to do. Uh, I'm like a I'm like a sloth. Like if you put me in a place, I'll just kind of like minimal activity. Like I'll just stay there. So like in my house, it's like super static, right? Because I'm just like laying around or maybe reading a book or maybe just mindlessly like I don't know, watching Netflix, which I don't do often, but on occasion I still do, or I mindlessly try to absorb an obscene amount of information from YouTube, watching YouTube videos in order to educate myself, but then I get like super like overloaded in my brain and then I fall asleep. Just a lot of stagnancy. Whereas in a parking lot, there's action. There's movement around you, there's a change of scenery, you get to see like what's going on in the real world outside of your little abode. So I think that's why I like parking lots. I answered my own question. Anyways, I just wasted like a minute and 27 seconds talking about parking lots. Um, another uninteresting and unimportant fact is that a lot of the friends that I do hang out with, we hang out in parking lots, and they have openly admitted to me that I'm the only person that they hang out in parking lots with. Like they don't know anyone else that they hang out in parking lots with. I don't know if that's good or bad. It just is. But let's get into the video. Let's talk about words. Let's talk about the power of words. Okay, so let's just start off by saying trust actions, not words. I feel like you've heard this before. I feel like that's really, really like common sense, like trust actions, not words. But then we certainly look for the words, like we want to hear the words. But words are spells, you know? Somebody can like promise you the world and you'll believe it, but if it's not followed up with actions, and words are just a form of manipulation. If you think about the world that we live in currently, advertisements, media, hearsay, like, did you hear what happened or so and so said? Words. They're all like a way to manipulate your belief system. They're all used as a way to manipulate your perception. And if you don't really understand this, like, you will easily be manipulated and you will easily have your perception distorted to a point where you'll project something that's not even yours. Does that even make sense? So that's why I don't know. I feel like maybe if you have a similar operating system to me, I don't know. I don't really believe anything anyone tells me. Like, I don't take things at face value. I have a pretty, I don't know if it's healthy or unhealthy level of skepticism. Like, I'm just like, okay, you're gonna tell me this stuff, but I don't know how valid it is, because you could just be like projecting some like delusional thoughts. Is it a type of system? Maybe. Yeah, if you really think about it, okay. What are thoughts? Think about it. When you think about thoughts, what are thoughts? When you're sitting here and you're just thinking, I don't know about you, but I've gotten to a point where I can like turn on and off. Like I can regulate thoughts. Like I can, if I don't want to think about anything, I can totally turn it off at will. And there's moments where like I can turn it back on, and then it just literally overloads my brain to a point where I end up like nodding off. Like for instance, sometimes it'll take me 5 days to watch a movie because I don't know, my brain is just like, I don't want any more information. I just I'm good, you know? So, like, if I don't self regulate my thoughts, my body will make me fall asleep so that it regulates itself. Because I've had the inclination to overthink a lot since I was a child. Obsessive um, appetite for information. Obsessive. And now I'm at this point in my life where it's like I have to self-regulate so I can turn the thoughts on, turn the thoughts off, or if I don't turn them off, my body will just shut down on its own. So I can take a break from overanalyzing and overconsumption of information. And like when I'm talking about information, I'm not talking about like the stuff I assume most people think about. Like a lot of people are like worrying about a lot of stuff that I probably am not worrying about. Like, oh, I don't know, like, oh, what am I gonna eat, or like some bills, or I don't know, whatever. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I'm really not I'm really not thinking about stuff like that. I think a lot about trying to understand things. Like, say something I come into direct experience with baffles me, whether it be like an interaction or just a situation or a scenario or whatever. Say I don't understand why something is the way it is, I will spend a lot of mental energy trying to figure that out, trying to get to the root cause of that. Say, like, for instance, in my own personal experiential situation, I get triggered. I will spend a lot of like mental energy thinking about, like, oh, why was I triggered? Like, and then I'll just kind of like keep asking questions until I get to like a place that I'm satiated, you know, like the understanding and the clarity that I have is clear. So I can like, oh, okay, I've resolved that. So now I can like push that off to the side and keep that as like a reference point for future circumstances. Or if I encounter somebody who's going through the same thing and they're like looking for clarity, I can pull that information out and be like, oh yeah, you know, it's this and this and that, blah blah blah. Like, for instance, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but like, say like somebody has a sore throat. Like, I've spent a lot of time thinking about something like sore throat and how to remedy that naturally. Like, that's kind of stuff I think about, you know, like, or like how people project things and it has nothing to do with you and it's not personal. I think about stuff like that. I feel like most people probably don't think about stuff like that, you know? They're thinking about other things, like, I don't know. Like I said, like, oh, bills and food and bills and cars, and I need to buy, like, I don't know, they're stuff that I probably don't think about. Anyways, let's go back to words. Words cast spells. And if you think about your thoughts, they are comprised of words, right? So it's like, if you think about it, externally or internally, you're surrounded by spells. That's why they call it spelling. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, spell. To create a word, you need to use the alphabet in order to spell a word out. Spells, spelling, spells. Words are spells. So when it comes to knowing this, having this knowledge, just be aware of like what you're telling yourself. A lot of it is unconscious, so you really gotta like really be hyper aware of like what you're telling yourself. Being able to step away from like your thoughts. I guess that's why like meditation became so popular. Kind of helps people to kind of like disassociate and view themselves from an objective viewpoint so that they can see what's going on inside of the mind or inside of the body without identifying with it. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I guess meditation does help. Certain types of meditation will help you to do that. There also has to be some kind of balance in that, or else you'll be in a constant state of disassociation, and that might low-key fuck with how you operate in life. I'm not gonna lie, man, I disassociate a lot. Like I've noticed I disassociate a lot. Like sometimes I feel like a robot, honestly. Do you feel this way? Can you relate? I don't know. I used to, so when I was younger, I used to be like overly sensitive and overly like caring and compassionate, overly like imbalanced. And now I think maybe low key on the opposing extreme, where like if something happens because I'm so disassociated, I'll just like look at that without really reacting to it. And now that I recognize that that's where I'm at, I'm trying to kind of like fuse the two opposing ends together to be more balanced. But it's a work in progress, guys. You can't like expect yourself to be this overnight. I feel like sometimes it takes lifetimes. I mean, some people are probably have a more high functioning and evolved operating system to make the connection faster. But for me personally, it's taken like over 40 years to kind of figure this out. Anyways, thoughts, words. Yeah.